Just as the adventurer team was about to be eliminated by the Lake Master, the maid appeared in time and saved them. Then, the maid cast her magic and killed the Lake Master. After the crisis was resolved, the maid was troubled by choosing delicious fish. At this moment, the girl wearing the red cloak came over to help her, and taught her some knowledge about fish. After catching the fish, the maid thanked her and prepared to leave. However, the girl stopped her. After Tia's flame magic attacked the Lake Master, it was completely enraged. At this moment, the Lake Master lifted its head and let out an angry roar. It gathered magical energy towards the horn above its head, preparing for a second attack. The energy ball on its horn is getting larger and constantly emitting red lightning. It seems that the power of this attack will be even more fierce than the first time. The red lightning near the horn of the Lake Master gradually converged into a ring, with a huge energy ball in the middle of this ring. If humans were hit by this huge energy ball, the consequences would be unimaginable. Rod quickly ran to Tia's side and planned to take her to a safe location to avoid the Lake Master's attack. However, Rod lifted his head and noticed that the Lake Master was about to launch a red energy ball at them. He didn't have time to escape with Tia. He cursed loudly. "Damn it!" Rod held the injured Tia tightly in his arms. He couldn't stop the Lake Master's attack, nor could he immediately take Tia away. In this desperate situation, all he can do is try to protect Tia. At this moment, the energy ball was flying towards them at a fast speed. The red light is getting closer and closer to Rod. He closed his eyes tightly and silently accepted the attack from the Lake Master. Defense. At this moment, and gently said a spell. She reached out her hand and gathered magical energy into her palm. She waved her hand, and the magical energy was emitted outwards. Then, a very bright light rushed into Beber Lake from the sky. Immediately afterwards, a very loud explosion sounded from the shore of Beber Lake. The explosion was accompanied by red lightning soaring into the sky. In an instant, the entire Beber Lake was covered in yellow light. Due to this sudden attack, the entire Beber Lake was shaking and splashing a very large amount of water. The light was so dazzling that it was hard to see what was happening on the lake. Rod nervously closed his eyes and turned his back to Beber Lake to resist the Lake Master's attack. However, at this moment, a loud noise came into his ear. Then, a strong wind blew over. With this sound, some lake water splashed onto him. Some burnt leaves drifted past him. He neither felt Lake Master's magic attacking his body, nor did he feel any pain on his body. After hearing the sound, Rod opened his eyes. He is very puzzled about the current situation. He turned his head, wanting to know what had happened, and confirm the situation of the Lake Master. However, the scene in front of him surprised him greatly. He opened his mouth slightly, wanting to say something, but couldn't say a word. This is... Rod looked up and noticed a huge black wall suddenly appearing by the lake. The walls still pulsed with intermittent flashes of red lightning. The Lake Master's attack was blocked by this wall. Rod and Tia did not suffer any fatal injuries under the protection of this wall. They are temporarily safe. Behind the wall, the Lake Master seems to be under attack. It opened its mouth, let out a mournful cry, and tilted its body back a little. Aluka was so scared that she sat on the ground. She was also stunned by the scene before her. She couldn't believe what she saw. Incredibly, this single wall managed to withstand such a powerful assault. She stared blankly at the injured Lake Master and the black wall, stuttering. Has the attack of the Lake Master been blocked? Have you been injured? At this moment, a voice came into Aluka's ear. Aluka was so focused on observing the strange phenomenon happening at Beber Lake that she didn't notice that someone had already appeared before her eyes. She came to her senses and noticed a lady wearing a black cloak standing in front of her. She answered hesitantly, I'm fine. Who are you?" And did not immediately answer Aluka's question. She placed her weapon behind her and lifted her left hand, beginning to cast her magic. She turned around and said to Aluka, "I'm glad you're okay. Next, I'm going to kill it. Protect yourself." Aluka was a bit surprised by Anne's approach. Although she didn't know how the unfamiliar lady was going to kill the Lake Master, she quickly nodded and replied, "Okay," and extended his left hand, and looked ahead with a firm gaze. Then, she uttered a spell. Imprisonment! In an instant, all of her magical energy transformed into black metallic objects and appeared around her. She shook her hand, and all the metal objects followed her movements, quickly flying towards the Lake Master. In order to hit the Lake Master faster, under Anne's control, all the metal objects quickly turned into black molten iron again. Aluka lifted her head and stared blankly at the countless metal weapons flying over her head. She was once again stunned by the scene before her. She silently said in her heart, "Iron tools. They have all turned into liquids. What kind of magic is this?" After reaching the vicinity of the Lake Master, the black molten iron quickly turned into countless iron spikes and forcefully plunged into the body of the Lake Master. The Lake Master didn't have time to respond with an attack. It tried to break free from the iron spikes that troubled it, but unexpectedly more spikes penetrated deeply into its body. It twisted its body very painfully and lifted its head, emitting a painful howl, and shook her hand. She manipulated her magical energy, gathering a portion of the molten iron and forming a staircase. This staircase extends all the way to Beber Lake. Finally, the staircase stopped extending near the Lake Master, and clenched her weapon tightly and walked up the stairs. Her footsteps were firm and powerful, seeming to carry a hint of anger. She muttered to herself, "Since just now, you have been screaming incessantly. You scared away all the fish I planned to bring for the young master." Then, and lifted the black scythe in her hand, and concentrated the magical energy onto it. The sickle became very large after being strengthened by Anne's magic. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "For that sin, you'll pay with your life." She opened her eyes and looked at the Lake Master with a cold gaze, and clenched his sickle tightly and quickly swung it, slashing fiercely at the Lake Master. The Lake Master let out a very loud and painful howl again, In an instant, blood gushed out of the Lake Master's face like a fountain, and completely covered its entire body. The body of the Lake Master was cut in half by Anne's sickle and fell heavily into Bebber Lake. Due to the enormous size of the body of the Lake Master, a huge splash of water was stirred up in Bebber Lake. Part of the lake water was even splashed onto the shore, wetting nearby trees and grasslands. The lake water also splashed onto the location where Rod and Tia were located. Their bodies were all wet from the lake water, and there were some seaweeds stuck to their cloaks. Some fish carried ashore by the water kept jumping on the ground, and even a few small fish fell on Rod's head and near Tia. However, Rod doesn't seem to care about these. He lifted his head and stared blankly as the body of the Lake Master silently sank into Bebber Lake. He was stunned by the scene in front of him. He said in a daze, "Lake Master, is that how it died?"